Okay, the presidential election is coming up, and we're trying to get some thumbnail sketches of the positions of each of the two major candidates. Let's talk a little bit about their personalities, or who these people are. What's in their soul? What what kind of folks are we dealing with here? John McCain first.
Well, I spent about an hour one-on-one with John McCain a little bit over a year ago, and I just found him to be a courageous, he's a very warm and very reassuring person, and very thoughtful. And you know what? I had some criticisms of him. I wasn't sure I was supporting John McCain when I went and met with him, and I had some criticisms of him, and he accepted those. He listened, and he said, you know, Glenn, you're right about a couple things here, and he accepted them. And that's one thing that I think is great about John McCain, is he's a guy who's a learner, he's a listener, he does reach across the aisle, he gets along with people, and I think one thing that disturbs me about the Obama campaign is I never hear them ever admit they're wrong on anything. You know, gee, have we ever heard Obama say that he opposed the surge, or that he was wrong on the surge? No, we've never heard him admit a mistake.
Cliff?
No, I think Barack Obama will be an exceptional president. He is very smart. I mean, obviously everybody's seen his ability to inspire, and he certainly has inspired people throughout the country. But he's very smart, and I think the one interesting thing about Obama, which will differ considerably, certainly from George Bush, and I also think from John McCain, and that is that he has tremendous intellectual curiosity and a tremendous capacity to really problem solve. And so I think that for instance, the selection even of a vice president, I think, is noteworthy in how they handled that. There were committees, there was information provided, there were meetings done. It wasn't a sort of spur-of-the-moment thing. And I think in talking to many of his advisors and in talking to Senator Obama, they all comment about you don't have to go through the basic foundations of the Middle East or the health care, whatever it is. He gets it, he understands it, and he's able to work in a very consensus way to build a solution.
Okay, let's move on to energy. Energy is very important. Obviously, we're tied and have been for decades to oil, primarily from the Middle East, but from other parts of the world as well. We use about 25% of the world's energy every year, produce about 3% of it. So there's a problem here, and let's talk about how each of the candidates is going to solve this problem. And let's start with who?
Glenn?
Well,
go ahead.
Glenn, go ahead.
All right. Go ahead.
As you said, we have 3% of the oil reserves, and we use 25%. So something's got to give. The notion that we're going to sort of extend the drill, baby, drill, as Sarah Palin would say, that's not going to really get us to the solution. We really need to develop alternate sources of energy, and Senator Obama has been a leader in that, a leader in the ethanol development, leader in wind technology, and creating the investment structure to allow that to happen. So I think we're going to have to really invest in that, because we're giving out $700 billion,
He's been talking about drilling, though, hasn't he?
Well, what he said was the drilling was becoming kind of this focus. It became the issue of should we do some offshore drilling, and what he said was he would not hold up. Well, he doesn't personally think that that would be the right way to go. He certainly would want to build a consensus in the Senate, and if that was one component, that would be one component. But the notion that we're sort of going to drill ourselves back to dollar gasoline ignores the fact that we really have to change our fuel source.
I think, PJ, I think the big difference between the candidates is this, is that Barack Obama says he wants to do just a few things. He wants to do wind, he wants to do ethanol. Ethanol, by the way, has created a huge distortion in global food markets. People in the third world are starving because of our and the European ethanol subsidies. Putting food in our gas tanks clearly has been proven not to work. It works technologically, but it doesn't work economically. But he wants to do just a few of the alternate things, and he wants to take nuclear off the table. The Democrats, Nancy Pelosi, Harry Reid, all the other Democrats, they've been very, very opposed to offshore drilling and really developing our domestic resources. And what John McCain wants to do is he wants to do it all. He's been very clear about this. He wants to build 45 new nuclear power plants, and as he says, the U.S. Navy and actually countries like France and China are getting tremendous benefit out of nuclear in a very, very safe way. I mean, it's not even back in 3 Mile Island 30 years ago, the safety features worked. And now the technology is 3 generations ahead of that. So he wants to develop nuclear, 45 new plants. He wants to develop wind. He wants to develop alternates, solar and other alternates. And he wants to free up domestic drilling. And that, to me, is a comprehensive, thoughtful approach, as opposed to taking all these other things off the table and saying we're really gonna. I mean, the Democratic approach is to squeeze the economy, raise oil prices, high gasoline prices, and we all cut back. It's a Jimmy Carter type 1970s approach. We turn down the thermostat, we all cut back, and we live with it. And that's just not going to work.
But that's such a false characterization. That's not true at all.
Well, I don't think.
And they're talking about he's talking about lots of things, and he's acknowledged the development of nuclear energy. You know, there are still some issues in terms of the storage and waste.
Has Barack Obama ever advocated
he's
increased
indicated
nuclear
that
energy?
he would look into that. He has. Yes, he has. What he has not wanted to do is just focus solely, exclusively on this notion of drill, baby, drill. And that's what he said. And I just think that there's a lot of sources here. And let me just go back. The notion that there's some conservation, that there's something horrific about conservation is ridiculous. He's talking about having a lot of, you know...
No one said... John McCain's talked a lot about
Glenn. Let him finish, and then we're going to have to take a break.
All right, well, just to say, the conservation and then the idea of getting into electric cars and that sort of fuel, he's talked about that.
Yeah, one of the big comprehensive things is
just a few seconds. Go ahead.
Conservation is a key part of McCain, too, but he doesn't want to go back to, we're going to have this poor future. He wants
we're
to
not talking about that at all.
We're going to wrap up. We're going to wrap up that the thing about energy here when we come back, and we want to talk about healthcare as well. So stand by. Plenty of conversation coming up.